Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time to
arrived.
demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Hope you had a good weekend. Today is the 30th of June. We're in the week of 4th of July, which takes place this coming Friday. So we've made it to the end of another month, the 30th. We have a sun sign in Cancer and a moon sign in Leo. We've just gone past the new moon, so we're at the beginning of a new phase of that particular cycle. Cancer is a water sign, Leo is a fire sign. So we think of fire and water, how they work together. Fire and water can cancel each other out. The fire can get so hot that it can turn the water into steam, or the water can overwhelm the fire and it can put it out. If we think of water as emotions, feelings, and we think of fire as ideas and creativity, and we look at those two, we could see how our feelings and emotions can squash out the creativity, and the creativity or the ideas can also squash out the feelings and the emotions. The ideas can overwhelm them, so we need to let them play nice together. The fire's underneath, and the unconscious minds think about putting a pot of water on the stove. We don't want the pot of water to boil unless we're making something that requires boiling water. So we need to pay attention to how the water and fire are working together. We had just past midnight, we had a trine between Leo and Uranus, which are unexpected changes. And then middle of the night, we had a lesson, a square between, actually this is afternoon, excuse me, and so is this other one, I'm sorry. Coming up this afternoon, we have this trine between Leo and Uranus. We also have a square after that between Leo and Saturn, and then later on, a couple hours after that, we have a sextile between Leo and Mars. So Leo is quite busy today. First is an unexpected change, surprises, comes with a trine, which is good positive energy, a nice good positive collection of that energy, how it's used. When we have a lesson taking place later this afternoon, lesson between our discipline and Leo, righteousness, how we use our energy. And then later we have a nice good opportunity of how we use our energy between Mars and Leo. So Leo is certainly going to be quite busy today. The numerology for today is a number 7, which we know to be the tarot card of the Chariot. Let's look at how we arrived at the number 7. Here we go. We have the 6 for the month, 30th for the day, 2014 for the year. That's a 6 plus a 3 plus a 7. Altogether it's a 16. 1 plus 6 equals a 7. The process is called theosophic subtraction. So we arrived at the number 7. We know all the qualities of the 7. Let's take a further look here at this particular card. We know by now, because this card has come up quite a bit, Chariot, it's all about allowing spirit to flow through, to be able to drive these Sphinx forward down the path of life. Okay, To remember that as the charioteer, we have to travel through a world of emotions or feelings, so the armor is necessary in order to protect oneself against all those emotions. We go over and we look at the moon sign for today. I don't think we've looked at this card at the highlights of the tarot. Okay, this is the card here. So we've got the yellows, the reds, the whites, greens. This card is a very profound esoteric significance. It is a representation of the great cosmic force which Madame Blavatsky calls Fohat. This force is the human organism. It's called Kundalini, the serpent power. There are a number of systems which attempt to tell unwary students how to awaken the sleeping Kundalini. They are too often successful, and the results of their misguided efforts are human wrecks and derelicts, people driven to madness and obsession. For the fact is that the Kundalini is a real force and is as powerful in destruction as it is in integration. Every person automatically receives the instruction he needs to awaken the Kundalini when the time comes for that awakening. In the meantime, listen to no one who tells you that he can help you unfold powers by setting the serpent force in action. Such practices are the most dangerous known to man. The proper way to prepare yourself for the time when you can do such a thing safely is to learn how to control your body, your mind, and your emotions. When you have done this, you will know what is your next step. Kundalini is not a force to be feared. You really use it every day of your life, but you use it naturally and without giving it conscious attention. For even its latent state, it is the force behind your activities. It is automatically controlled by subconscious. Subconscious is the woman in key 8, and she has the lion in complete control. Because tarot works by giving suggestions to subconsciousness, it works automatically towards the expansion of consciousness that makes for an ever greater control over continually increasing powers of personality. Other symbolism in this key has been explained elsewhere. Okay, and all the associations. Okay, and right useness is one of the meanings of this card, the right useness of our energy through the heart. Now, the Kundalini energy is a very potent energy. If you haven't or heard of it, it is an energy that is said to reside at the bottom of our spine and gets awakened. It's called the serpent power within us. And it gets awakened and it runs through all of our chakra systems, and it can be very potent energy. It can be released in a number of ways. Meditation certainly is one way, but people have had incidents through a variety of different experiences with a variety of different type of drugs or herbs or things. You can read all about shamanic practices, all the way to experiences where someone might fall, land on their tailbone, or something of this nature, and that energy is aroused and awakened. So there's a whole variety of ways. When it's done in a forceful way and the body's not ready for it, sometimes it can have some crazy effects on individuals. But when the body is ready for it, then you are able to channel that energy through in a proper way to really be able to experience a lot more of what that energy is about. Your body will tell you when it's time to release that energy. And most likely you have already been releasing bits and pieces of that energy already through your meditations and times when things become very vivid and just going through life and the energies around you. So don't try to rush the process of releasing the Kundalini energy. Just keep doing the meditations, keep connecting inward, and that way the energy gets released in a nice, safe, harmonious way for your body. Now we could see the Strength card is right here, right in the middle. It balances out severity and mercy. The Chariot is over here on this side between what we understand and the lesson of severity. Okay. Current moon phase, we're just past the new moon, 10% of the way past. Making our way up to a full moon. We know that because we're waxing. Waxing means going up from a new moon to a full moon. This week, here's our sky map for today. So we see the moon is going to be right in this position here, underneath the sickle of Leo. Regulus up here, just to the upper left. Jupiter down to the lower right. Says now the thickening crescent moon is higher and easier to see in the twilight, with Jupiter farther to its lower right and the stars of Leo above it. Okay, so that's what we just looked at. So as you look at the sky, this is then the 30th, what we saw today and tonight. Mayan Oracle, we're at a 9-tone day. 9 is called the solar tone of intention. It's right down here. The night is the kin for today. So today it's the solar night, guided by the storm. Nights are dreams in abundance, storms are gathering energy. So today would be the solar night, guided by the storm. The phrase is, I pulse. In order to dream, realizing intuition, I seal the input of abundance with the solar tone of intention. I am guided by the power of self-generation. Space weather, we have solar wind 360.1 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is between a 1 and a 3. Only one large strip of a coronal hold down here, otherwise nothing in the middle really significant. M-class flare possibilities hanging at 25, X-class at 5. Geomagnetic storm activity is pretty low, 15% in the higher latitudes. And we have a link here if you want to check this out. This is a link to the Flying Saucer update. This weekend, NASA's Flying Saucer, a device designed to deliver heavy payloads to Mars, made its first test flight over Hawaii. The vehicle worked beautifully and we met all of our flight objectives, reports project manager Mark Adler of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So you can click here and you can see that there's a series of videos. I'm going to leave these all for you to watch. And each one of these videos is about 30 seconds in length, and they just show you an aspect of deploying their vehicle. And that's about it, you know. And pretty much what you see is just short little clips here, 25 to 30 seconds in length. And you can just see little highlights of what they were preparing and doing. And okay. And you go down and there's a whole series of these. So check them out, a whole series of them if you're curious to see what happened with the launching and how it turned out. Okay, and here we have the Jewish calendar. 30th today is called Tu Tammuz, so we've changed in a new month on the Jewish calendar. Let's go down to the daily thought for today. Daily thought: high souls. To one whose self is his body, death of the body is the death of the self. But the one whose self is his love, awe, and faith, there is no death, only a passing. From a state of confinement in the body, he makes the passage to liberation. He continues to work within the world, and even more so than before. The Talmud says that Jacob, our father, never died. Moses also never died. Neither did Rabbi Judah, the prince. They were very high souls who were one with truth in an ultimate bond, and since truth can never die, neither can they. Yes, in our eyes we see death. A body is buried in the ground, and we must mourn the loss. But this is only part of the falseness of our world. In the world, the truth, they are still here as before. And the proof, we are still here. For if these high souls would not be with us in our world, all that we know would cease to exist. Alright, so there you go. That's our thought for the day. Good thought. And that gets us started. UFO news is up next, so let's get to it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Alrighty, Dirk. Thank you very much. Let's get over to our first sighting for today. It takes place over England. Here we have our object in question. Bushey, Hertfordshire, England. I don't know what these objects are. I'm just reporting what I am seeing. Today we saw 5 objects. They were black and round, slightly flat. They seemed to be rotating. Sometimes we were just stationary and other times they would move. Just watch the video. If anyone has any information of these objects, please do get in touch with me. Alright, first one's a 12-minute video. We got the object in question right there in the middle of the screen. And the second video down here is a 6-minute video, 6 minutes 25 seconds. Okay, and check this out here. Anyway, I'm going to leave the videos available to you but you can see there's the object in question. Alright, here we have family films a UFO releasing 2 smaller UFOs or probes over Spain. It's a 1 minute 45-second video. There we go. We've got a couple of ships right there. And we should be able to see them. Okay, let's see a little more. Certainly with this, it's always easier when you enlarge the screen. Okay, and somewhere here is where you can see the release of the drones. Alright, so I'm going to leave the link available as always. FirstContactRadio.com, you can check it out. Alright, here we have a UFO cloud orb caught up close in Calgary, Canada. There's our object in question. This is an amazing UFO, partly cloaked several times in the video. Do not assume it's changing shape. Big misconception. It's just cloaks activities when there is a blue background. Notice the photo below. The UFO is in the white cloud. However, the top 20% of the UFO is missing, and there's a partial blue background on that part. Cloud orbs cloak like this when seen up close. Trimmed the footage just to show the orb. Others that were rimmed were fiddling with the camera before the shot. Okay. You understand what he's saying there, that when it gets against the blue background, it's cloaking out part of the ship because it's taking on the coloration. And then when it gets in front of the white clouds, the coloration is there, and it's in contrast to the white clouds, therefore it stands out. Okay, there's our object in question. It's right in the middle. You'll see it momentarily when this big thing gets out the way. There it is, making its way right to the middle, or right now, smack dab in the middle. There it is, making its way across. Okay, moving on. Next we have over at Kazakhstan. This was a whole fleet of them. All of these things you see right here, those are all the flying saucers. Photographed by me in the night from 19th to the 20th of June in a digital camera. Original MTS format file. I can send in mail. Here we go. 2 minute 59-second video. And you see lots of sparkling because the lights are blinking on and off. And there's a whole lot of UFOs up there. Whole lot of them now. One thing that I'd have to take notice that they're not doing is attacking. But there's a whole lot of them that are making themselves known. So the element of surprise is gone. Obviously, they're not looking to attack at this point in time. And I think it's just something very important for us to all keep in mind, that the rumors and the stories of the attacking might be greatly exaggerated. Okay, it's a good shot over Kazakhstan. I have no idea how many are there. Couldn't even begin to count, there are so many. Okay, let's move on. Next we have Washington, D.C. over the 28th. New video of multiple UFOs hovering in the sky above the U.S. Capitol this Saturday the 28th. It's a 25-minute video. Oh, from Laszlo, the UFO hunter, Laszlo Novak. Okay. There we go. One over the day. It's the White House over here. Okay. Let's get a couple of so we have some good shots here. There we go. So the UFOs at the White House, they certainly are getting a view as well. Will this make the news? This just happened this weekend, happened Saturday. So we'll see if the mainstream news is going to talk about it. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, they're not going to mention it, but maybe they'll surprise us. Okay, here we have a crop circle near Standdaarbuiten, Netherlands. This was on Friday the 27th. Let's get a little glimpse right there of what it looks like. Standdaarbuiten. There we go. Interesting. Let's see what we've got here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 on either side. We've got this circle, which is got 1. Are these the same here? So we got 3 there, and 2 there. There's a lot of symmetry in here between these sides. How they reflect off each other. There's that definite cross image in the middle. I don't know what this means or represents. It's very fascinating though. And of course you can see all the way all the leaves and stalks are folded over. Alright, now we're going to go up to Mars. And here we have a shot of walls, ancient walls discovered on Mars in NASA photos. And you can look at these lines here. Decide for yourself. Are these natural or are these more artificial, man-made? They look a bit more man-made, don't they? I was looking over the Mars photos when I came across this unique photo with the massive walls throughout. The walls look like they are to protect a city long ago. There are also some rectangular structures lined up on one of the end of the section of the wall. If we saw these same structures on Earth, we would naturally assume they were stone walls built by ancient people. I believe in this manner that archaeologists' view would be more useful than that of NASA. We all know that NASA doesn't like commenting about the possibility of life existing on Mars, so there will be no help on this matter. Okay. So there you got the lines, and it certainly does look very much man-made, very much like a wall. It's a 9-minute and 8-second video. You got Scott down here, Scott Waring, talking about this. So check it out. See what you think. Alright? And very last but not least, contact with beings from another world. Okay, have you seen this image before? I'm sure you have if you've watched enough UFO videos. What a wild roller coaster ride of alien abduction and self-exploration. This is as true an account as one could possibly give of such extraordinary experiences. Sherry describes what she endured being repeatedly abducted by ETs, but there is an extremely positive outcome. Decades after the first abductions, Sherry's perception of her experience shifts. No longer seeing herself as a victim, she focuses on the positive aspects of what she was taught during interactions with the ETs. Once she looked beyond the distortion created by her visceral fear, she was aware of the depth of knowledge that she was being imparted to her. This knowledge, like the ETs, originated from higher vibrational realms. It was being given to her for the benefit of humanity. Sherry explains the 3 important things to know, which are concepts about which volumes of spiritual text have been written. And here we have a video 15 minutes, 40 seconds in length from Veritas Radio. And I'm going to leave this for you here so you can listen to Sherry's interview. Radio.com. All right. We're talking all about this experience and what happened. All right, there you have it. That's our UFO news report for today. I'm going to jump away for a moment, and then I'll be back, and we shall continue on. Stay tuned.
Another alien visitor claimed that his race had been looking in on us for centuries, and that they had in fact influenced the course of human history in some rather critical and startling ways.
Listen up. I am myself and I am someone else. Do you know what I mean? Wouldn't sound so crazy to you if you've seen what I've seen. For it is a time, dimensions of space, traveling through the universe, from place to place. Don't arouse suspicion of a membrane gone insane. Everything is possible, just gotta see with an open mind.
Let's continue on. So for today, what I thought I would get into was a bit of a discussion about Jose Arguelles. Now every day at the beginning of the show you hear me read from the Dream Spell calendar, and it's a very unique way of understanding time because it isn't the normal language of the Gregorian calendar. It talks in strange words and using phrases like dragon and wind and night and the galactic tones and the cosmic frequencies of the sun, all of these concepts. And where do these come from? Well, the Tzolk'in is one of the Mayan calendars that are used. There's a number of them. The Tzolk'in is the grid that I show you, which is the grid of 13 columns and 20 rows. And this Tzolk'in shows us a series of how we look at time, going through 1 through 13 and then repeating over again, 1 through 13, 1 through 13. And so you have the cycles of 13 coded within this system. Well, the Tzolk'in was being looked at and utilized for a long, long time by the Mayans. And then Jose Arguelles came along, and he spent some time studying it, and he made an observation that there was something that needed to be corrected in the system, in the way that the Mayans were looking at time. And so he made these corrections, and then throughout the course of his lifetime, he had some affirmations, some positive moments that came in to confirm what he had done was an accurate thing to do. And so this Dream Spell calendar is the Mayan calendar, but with some corrections made to it. Corrections made because during the course of the years, we have days which aren't always equal. We have a leap year thrown in every 4 years. And so what Jose said is that the number system, the counting system, was off, and we needed to correct for that. And in correcting for that, that's where this dream spell is. Now, we look at the dream spell, we look at the Mayan calendar, and we say that doesn't mean anything anymore because we've gone past December 21st. However, that's inaccurate. You see, the Mayan calendar was not a calendar that was to end on a particular day. It's a calendar that keeps going and going and going and going. It doesn't stop. The December 21st date was just one date that was picked out on the calendar. And once it was picked out, then people assumed that that was the ending date of the calendar. But the calendar doesn't end, it just continues. And so we continue on, and we look at these moments in time that happen. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring up information today about Jose Arguelles, who he is, so you can understand a bit more about him and what was significant about what he had to say, that you might appreciate, as I do, the wisdom that he had to share with the planet. So this is his website called lawoftime.org. Now, Jose passed through the veil in 2012 or 11. So he is no longer with us here physically, but he is definitely with us here spiritually. Okay, here's his bio. Jose Arguelles was born January 24th, 1939 in Rochester, Minnesota. He and his twin brother Ivan were the son of a Mexican father and a German-American mother and lived their first 5 years in Mexico. Arguelles was best known as the initiator of the world-famous harmonic convergence global peace meditation, which occurred on August 16th and 17th, 1987. During that time, he also awakened the mass consciousness to the significance of the year 2012 and turned the world's attention towards the Maya and their calendric system. His best-selling book, The Mayan Factor, from 1987, gives credence to the Mayan calendar cycles of natural time and reveals the historically unprecedented galactic shift in time coming in 2012 and entry into the new galactic beam beginning July 26, 2013. Jose Arguelles also recognized as one of the creators of the Earth Day concept and the founder of the Whole Earth Festival, now in its 43rd year in Davis, California. During the 5th annual Whole Earth Festival in 1974, he received a special commendation for the state of California for being the father of the Whole Earth Festival and for his contribution to the art and culture of California. His love of art and culture inspired him to obtain his Ph.D. in History and Aesthetics from the University of Chicago in 1969. His academic career led to professorship at Princeton University, University of California, Davis, the Evergreen State College, the Naropa Institute, San Francisco State University, San Francisco Institute of Art, the University of Colorado, Denver, and the Union Graduate School. Author of numerous philosophical and cultural essays, as well as poetry, his pioneering books were translated into many languages and include The Mayan Factor, Earth Ascending, Surfers of the Zavuya, The Arcturus Probe, Time of the Technosphere, The Law of Time in Human Affairs, and the 7-volume Cosmic History Chronicles with Stephanie South, and the Manifesto for the Noosphere, The Evolution of Human Consciousness. As a prolific artist, Arguelles has profiled the illustrations for a number of his books, as well as the cover art for his periodical Psychedelics, Their Uses and Implications. His activity as a painter includes exhibits at the Princeton University Art Museum in 1968 and the Inner City Gallery, Los Angeles, 1969. His murals can still be seen at the Psychology Department, University of California, Davis, and in the Dan Evans Library Building, the Evergreen State College, Olympia, Washington. With Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche, he assisted in the Dharma art exhibits in Los Angeles in 1980 and San Francisco in 81. His visionary drawings were also exhibited at the time is Art Gallery in Portland, Oregon, and his Doors of Perception paintings exhibited as the Time of Art Gallery, Ashland, Oregon. Arguelles is making a lifelong arts activist for peace and the planetary transformation of consciousness. In 1968, he co-organized a transformation event, New York City, March 25, 1968. He is the co-founder with his wife, Lloydine, of the Planet Art Network in 1983 and the World 13 Calendar Change Peace Movement in 1994. The Planetary Art Network spread to more than 90 countries, promoting art as a foundation for global peace, while reviving the Nicholas Roerch Peace Pact and Banner of Peace from 1935. Inspired by prophetic information received from Tony Shearer in 1970, Arguelles distilled his lifelong study of mathematics and prophecies of the Mayan calendar into the harmonic convergence in 1987. This event commemorated the last day of the 13 heavens and 9 hell cycles as prophesied by Mexican prophet Quetzalcoatl. As a scholar of comparative religion and world thought, he has made major contribution to research in the I Ching and studied and practiced Tibetan Buddhism for many years with artist and meditation master Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche. More recently, he had focused his attention on the mathematics of the Quran in relation to the law of time. But he is most noted for his pioneering work in the mathematics of the Mayan calendar. A visionary experience at the age of 14 atop the pyramid of the sun Teotihuacan, Mexico, in 1953 led him to a lifelong investigation of the mathematics and prophecies associated with the Mayan calendar. His decoding of its mathematics resulted in the discovery of the law of time in 1989. According to the law of time, modern humanity is in a crisis because it is immersed in an erroneous and artificial perception of time, causing civilization to deviate at an accelerated rate from the natural order of the universe. To remedy this self-destructive situation, a collective unification into galactic consciousness is required. For this reason, Jose Arguelles promoted the return to a natural timing cycle through the regular measure of the 13-moon 28-day calendar. Knowing that the Maya used up to 17 calendars simultaneously, and after experimenting living many cycles at once, Arguelles found that the 13-moon 28-day cycle was more than a calendar, but a master synchronization matrix that all the other systems and counts could be synchronized by. For this reason, he called it a synchronometer, a tool for measuring synchronicity. To prepare for a shift from linear to galactic time, he created numerous tools for navigating fourth-dimensional time, including the Dream Spell, Journey of Time Ship Earth 2013, and his decoding of the prophecy of Calvatan, called the Telectanon, followed by 7777 and Mystery of the Stone, and most recently, the Synchronization System. Since 1992 until his passing in 2011, Arguelles had promoted and organized the annual July 25th Day at a Time Peace through cultural festivals throughout the world, and promoted the Circumpolar Rainbow Bridge meditation. He continued to travel the world several times over, giving numerous conferences and seminars, and promoting the paradigm shift from time is money to time is art. Jose Arguelles has received recognition from many cultures. He was a recipient of the Magical Blend 2000 Millennium Award. On March 3, 2002, was honored as Volum Vatan, closed with a cycle by the 9 indigenous elders atop the Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan, Mexico. They recognized him as bringing new knowledge to regenerate the traditional knowledge, and awarded him a ceremonial staff for helping to wake humanity up to the meaning of 2012, the conclusion of the 5,125-year great cycle of the Mayan calendar, as well as many other cycles. On October 9, 2003, the Archbishop of the Coptic Orthodox Church of St. Petersburg, Russia, publicly recognized him as the bearer of the Mayan prophecy. He was the chief founder and president of the Foundation of the Law of Time, a non-profit organization that promotes the new knowledge of the 13-moon calendar. In 2002, he recognized his apprentice, Stephanie South, and soon afterwards began a process of education known as the Galactic Mayan Mind Transmission that continued until his passing in 2011. In 2005, he began the New Sphere 2 project with South and participated in the Calvatan Global Telepathic Experiment in conjunction with Esoteric, a branch of the Russian Academy of Science. In 2005, he initiated the Vision of Cresty 13, Centers for Restitution, Investigation and Education of the Natural Mind, self-sustainable centers with an eye towards global telepathic experiments. As a member of the New Sphere Spiritual Ecological World Assembly, in 2009 he launched the New Sphere World Forum. In 2009 he presented his final 7-day seminar, Synchronotron, at the Babaji Ashram in Sisterinio, Italy. In 2009 he was also named honorary member of the Club of Budapest. In 2010 he received the highest honor of the International Committee of the Banner of Peace in Mexico City, the Nicholas Rourke Peace Medallion. In 2010 he was honored for his lifelong work with the Mayan calendar by Flora de Mayo, Mayan Curianda, and member of the International Council of the 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. Jose Arguelles passed away March 23, 2011 at 6:10 a.m., exactly the same time as his birth, and precisely 1,328 years after the passing of Calvatan. And we got some of his bios in his books if you want to look through them. But anyway, there's a brief intro on who Jose is. And let me play a portion of this interview that he did here. Here we go.
Hi, we're on the set with Jose. Welcome, Jose. Thank you so much for coming.
Hey, well, it's a really great pleasure to be here, Alan, to say the very least.
Yeah, it's great. So we were talking earlier today, and from an early age, you had experiences at 7 when you went to the top of pyramid in Mexico that kind of led you onto this path. Why don't you talk a little bit
Yeah,
about
actually, it was when I was 14. When I was 7, I got put on the path of being an artist. When I was 14, my father took me back down to Mexico where I'd lived as a youngster, and all I wanted to do was go to the pyramids. I'd seen some books in his library, and we got down to Mexico City. We drove from Minnesota to Mexico. This was back in 1953 in the summer, and we got out to the pyramids at Teotihuacan, place where the gods touch the earth. That's big, big, big ancient pyramid city, and they're the large pyramid. They're the Pyramid of the Sun, which is as large as the Great Pyramid at Giza on the base, not as tall. Steps go up, but I ran up those steps. I said, hey, I got to get up there. And I got up to the top there before my brother and my father and my uncle. And I looked down and I saw, wow, this is really something. I thought of Mexico City and I thought of where this was. And I said, that's two different worlds. They're happy about Sears and Roebuck there, but this is something else. And as I'm sitting there looking at that, having those thoughts, like I'm having a big white light type of experience, kind of a recollection of purpose, of destiny. And I knew at that point that my mission, my destiny in this life was to bring back the cosmic knowledge that helped build that city and bring it back into the modern world, because my hunch was that the people in the modern world were going to be needing that cosmic knowledge. And that was my purpose.
And then this you knew at 14 was clear to you?
14. Totally clear. I got back to my hometown in Minnesota. I had a job at the public library, filing books, and there it was between Ouspensky and something else. Sylvanus Griswold Morley's Civilization of the Ancient Maya. And I looked at that and I said, that's the one. It had a chapter on the calendar and astronomy and mathematics. I learned the mathematical system. I started studying the calendar, and I knew that was the path for me.
And then to complete kind of a cycle, I mean, after the, you were involved in the harmonic convergence, after you were involved in Earth Day, I mean, really extraordinary events of our time. You went back there 49 years later with elders. Why don't you tell that story, and then we'll go into what kind of information you want you to impart.
Yeah, I followed this path and all those things, like the harmonic convergence. That was all part of the prophecy. And it turns out last year, 2002, around March 3rd or so, I was down in Mexico. I thought I was going to be planning a ceremony for people in my group in the peace movement I'm leading. And instead it turned out that a group of elders, the guardians of the earth, group of 9 indigenous elders, shamans from different tribes in Mexico, had gotten word that they were supposed to honor me. And there I was marching up and down Teotihuacan. I got to the Pyramid of the Sun.
The same one you were 49 years before.
49 years before, same place. They took me up to the top there, and a great, great ceremony, and they gave me a beautiful, beautiful sacred staff like I'd never seen before, obsidian and onyx and a lot of beautiful sculpted stuff on it. And that was given to me. They said that in their teachings and their prophecies, they knew that in this end time that there would be someone who would come along who would have a new knowledge based on the old knowledge, but a new knowledge, cosmic knowledge, that would renew the tradition, that would renew the people of the earth, and that person was me. And they honored me as being what they called the closer of the cycle, because we're talking about the cycle that ends in 2012. That was a very mind-blowing experience, Alan, life-changing experience for me too, because I sat up in that pyramid and I said, wow, 49 years ago I had this vision, and here I am, and these elders are honoring me for it, and I held my vision. So it's very, very powerful. It's very great to be alive and to have this mission and to have this sense of purpose for the people of the earth.
Okay, well, just what are you supposed to tell people? Here's a venue for it. Go boy.
Yeah, hey man. When we say closer of the cycle, okay, when we say 2012, we're talking about the knowledge of the Mayan calendar, as it's called, though that's a really, really one-dimensional word for a system that is so rich in mathematics, prophecy, and understanding of our place in the cosmos. The Mayan word for human being, Winkleo, means cosmic vibratory root. We're supposed to be cosmic vibratory roots, but we're stunted, and we're stunted from realizing that because the truth is that we are living in the incorrect time. The Mayans were the masters of time. They had 17 or 19 calendars that they used simultaneously. That's because they knew time is the factor of synchronization. Time is what synchronizes us. The harmonic convergence worked. Everybody got synchronized that morning. It was a synchronization event. So the point of it is that we're at the end of the cycle. Everyone knows, something's going on. This is the end time. Is it going to be an apocalypse? What's going to happen? The Mayans say that December 21st, 2012, that's when the cycle closes. What cycle? Okay. The 5,125-year cycle of history, 26,000-year cycle of the sun going around, the earth going around the ecliptic, and an even larger cycle, 104,000-year cycle. All these cycles are coming to an end. We are living in a really, really powerful, momentous event in time at this moment. So the closure of the cycle, it means that the closure of the cycle, that said, just keep doing what you're doing, follow the red road. The red road is the road, the good road, the path of truth to 2012. And announce to people the time, that we have to change the time. We live in a time of war and in a time of chaos. The time of war and chaos is locked up in the simple calendar we use every day. A calendar is a programming device. We don't understand that. And if we're going to make it to 2012 in peace and harmony with justice for all, we have to change the time. It's a big test for us humans to be able to do that. And the means of changing is to change the calendar. We have to go from the irregular Gregorian calendar. A calendar is a standard of measure. If you have a standard of measure with units that don't correspond, the weeks and the months don't correspond, the months are uneven, it drives you crazy, actually. You couldn't, if you built a house with a standard of measure like that, it would be a very crooked house. And in many ways, the house that we live in the world today is a crooked house.
How did we come to go from a Mayan calendar to this irregular, disharmonious calendar?
This, you have to look at it this. The Mayans were in the New World, and the Old World was dominated by the Babylonian civilization and the Babylonian concepts of time, which are based on 12. The Mayan concept is based on 13. Before history, most people used a 13-month calendar. The Mayan prophecy that I decoded, the prophecy of Pakal Votan, who was buried in the tomb at Palenque, says that the means of changing the time is to go from the Gregorian 12-month calendar to go to the perfect harmonic perpetual 13-month 28-day calendar. The Mayans used that calendar among other calendars. The Aztecs used that calendar. The Druids used that calendar. The Incas of South America used that calendar. It's a universal calendar. And the point is to make it to 2012 in peace and harmony. The message is we have to change the time. You change the time by changing the calendar. When you change the calendar, you change the program. Like the Gregorian calendar program is full of static and chaos, confusion, injustice, oppression, all of that stuff, inequality. And if we change that, we go to a calendar that is perfectly harmonic, perfectly perpetual. Every month is 28 days. Every month has 4 perfect weeks. Every month starts on Sunday and ends on Saturday. Every year starts on Sunday and ends on Saturday. Then we reintroduce harmony as the fundamental program of our life. And the point is that we are now up against the final moment. We are in the final moment. We're entering a point where we are going to be going into the final window when we can make this shift. And this window occurs between November 8th this year and July 26th,
2003.
2004. Yeah, it did. From November
2003 to 2004.
To 2004. Correct. And so
if somebody's watching the show after that date.
All right, so there's more to this interview. Definitely more to this interview. I'm going to leave it to you. There's another. Total thing is 58 minutes in length. I'm at the 23-minute mark here, so there's a lot more to go. You heard Jose talk about 2012. That was the shift that occurred. I know there are those who expected that we were going to have the Hollywood version, but that's not what happened. That's not what the Mayans said. That's not what Jose ever said. It was simply a shift. The calendar goes on. Time continues to go on. But in this shift, we've moved into a place where we can measure the energy around us. We can measure to see that we have evolved into something different than where we had been before December 21st. So things have changed. We've get the messages that let us know and confirm for us that we're in a position, place of change. So check out this whole interview of Jose's, and you'll really get a lot from it. All right? I want to keep moving on. Links available, First Contact Radio. All right, here's an article about dreams from Greg Prescott over here at In5D. It says Spiritual and Metaphysical Dream Analysis. Did you ever have a dream that seemed so bizarre that you weren't sure what it meant? Our dreams are the gateway to our subconscious mind, which can reveal a lot more to what is going on in our lives than we can interpret from the dream. Our dreams are played out in metaphors because the reality behind these metaphors can often be overwhelming. For example, if an office manager is dreaming about his secretary opening and closing file cabinet drawers, then the act and motion of pushing drawers in and out would represent the manager's inner desire to have sexual intercourse with his secretary, and the metaphor of sex being the in and out motion of the file cabinet drawers by the secretary. Another example would be a man who sees a building-sized tire about to roll over him. This dream doesn't mean something bad is about to happen to this man. The tire represents the stressors in his life that are overwhelming. As a psychology major in college with a master's degree in human services, I've taken an advanced class on the psychology of sleep and dreams. As a child and family therapist, I have used dream analysis to help my clients overcome obstacles in their lives, but recently I've seen an interesting twist that has not been covered in dream analysis, which would be the metaphysical and spiritual interpretations. Most dream analysis websites give wonderful explanations of what symbols represent in our dreams. The two I use most are the dream moods and the glamour dream analysis. The one thing they lack are the spiritual and metaphysical interpretations of what these symbols might mean. For example, a typical dream analysis climbing up a ladder usually represents a promotion to a new level of achievement, but a spiritual and metaphysical interpretation might also indicate ascension or a DNA upgrade. I've also found that once you have cleared most of your fears in life, your dreams become more predictable in the future. For example, my ex moved 1,200 miles away from me with my daughter. Shortly afterwards, I had a dream where I was walking to my car with my daughter in the same state where she moved to, but the car was covered in an eggshell. A few weeks after the dream, I was offered a job in the state where my daughter was living and moved back there on Easter weekend. The eggshell represented Easter, and I arrived on Easter Day to see my daughter. The bottom line is to address whatever is going on in your subconscious mind in order to get to the point of where your dreams become prophetic or futuristic. In doing so, you'll learn a lot about yourself, your fears, or inner desires. We may never have completely prophetic dreams, as daily occurrences and obstacles seem to bring us back to the dreaming or metaphors about something that occurred that particular day, but at least we can address these issues, or try to find a positive outcome for why we are having these dreams through dream analysis. Alright, so there you go. It says, what do you dream about? Do you have repetitive dreams? Are your dreams spiritual or metaphysical? Have you ever dreamed about UFOs or being aboard one? What do you think these dreams mean? Comment below. Alright, good article, Scott. Dreams are very important. Dreams are very important, and certainly the more that we are able to, when we're able to decipher our dreams, we really can gain a lot from them. One way you can do that is put a notepad right by your bed. And when you wake up at night, go ahead and make sure that you write down what your dreams were, because you fall back asleep and then we tend to forget what those dreams are all about. So if you write them down, that will help you to remember them. Then you wake up in the morning and you review them. But dreams are pretty fascinating. They can teach us a lot about ourselves, and if we pay attention to what they are about. All right, here's our message for today from Hilarion. Here we go.
Hilarion.
June 29th through July 6th, 2014, by Marlene Svetlashoff.
Beloved ones, although most of you have done the work of spiritually aligning yourselves to the higher dimensional perspective, there is still much that is coming up from your cellular memories to be acknowledged and released. It is a matter of understanding what is occurring, as that helps to more quickly allow all that surfaces to be released without becoming engaged yet again in the emotional and mental turbulence. It is like wringing out a sponge that still has a bit of moisture left in it so that it needs a few final squeezes. By now you all have an arsenal of tools and techniques that you have accumulated to help you move through with relative grace and ease. You have what it takes to get through this. If you feel you need further help, then it is necessary to find a practitioner who can give you the assistance you require. There are many people well qualified to help you through this. Ask your spiritual guides to lead you to the ones who are right for your particular circumstance. The outer world you live on is changing rapidly, although your news media would have you believe otherwise. The power struggles between leaders in many countries of the world is a sign that the system and structures that have been in place for a very long time are now in need of radical change. Many foresee that it requires a new way of looking at things and new ways of accomplishing what needs to be changed, but there are still those who stubbornly hold on to the power structures that have been established. The people of the world are no longer in ignorance of the widespread misuse of power in those who lead them and have begun to put their leaders under a microscope. The writing is on the wall for these ones: adapt and change what does not work or step aside. The rumblings are becoming louder in their spheres of influence. As with all change, it comes about through friction and resistance. What humanity needs to realize is that they must work together to address the many challenges the world they live on is presenting. It requires the input of all good and sincere people. There are those who work with the grids of the earth. There are those who have ability to bring healing and stability to various areas of the planet. There are those in the scientific community who are working on solutions to the many challenges that are required to be met. There are those in the economic sector who are endeavoring to create a more equitable economic system for all. There are those in the medical professions who need to truly meet the needs of their people instead of feeding the structures of the pharmaceutical companies. They need to allow their people to choose alternate and more natural options for their health issues. In every sector of society, there is a need to let go of self-interest and start working for the highest good of all. As these structures are realigned to a higher principle and concept of working for the highest good of all upon the planet, the beneficial outcomes for all citizens of the world will create a more stable and peaceful environment. When the basic needs of all of Earth's citizens are met and the way forward is established through transparent communication and sincere and honest cooperation between all peoples and structures of the world, then life as they have known it will truly change for the better. The element of fear and suspicion in all human hearts will be eradicated, and a more joyous and harmonious interaction between all peoples of the world will bring about tremendous and positive transformations. It behooves ones such as the light workers and others of good heart and intent who are not familiar with this term of reference, to continue to visualize, intend, and give strength and power to that which you earnestly want and desire to see manifest upon your planet. This is the focus that is asked of those who are aware and awake to the incredible opportunity that is before all of humanity in this moment of now. As the people of the world let go of all self-centered desires from within themselves and see the entirety of the world at large as part of themselves, it allows the higher aspects of their divinity to come shining through. When humanity feels the call to be of greater service to each other, this will open up a grander experience of universal proportions. Until next week, I am Hilarion.
Alright, nice message. That takes us to our meditations. Go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And another deep breath. And exhale. And just breathe in and out. Slowly and easily. Now imagine yourself walking along the path of life as we do each and every day. And imagine yourself walking and seeing others along that path. And notice as you walk along and you look at others, you see everybody is kind of caught up in their own world. People are focused on their phone devices, looking at them rather than looking at each other. It's as if we're disconnected from each other. So as we walk through, you begin to think about connecting, and you just imagine connections being made. And as you think of people connecting with each other and networking, little by little you see people raise their heads up from the things that they are doing and begin to pay attention to those around them. And one by one, people start paying attention and looking at each other. And as people realize that there are others around and they turn away from their devices, they realize that the devices were just keeping them from looking at life, keeping them focused in their own little world. So as we look at each other and we move through life focused on helping each other, we find that as we help others, others help us. There is this non-stop helping that is going on. And everybody continues to grow and evolve because everybody is being helped by somebody else, while at the same time they are helping someone else. And as we continue to help each other, we find that we accomplish more than we could possibly imagine. And as we work together, we find that the freedoms we have are really expressed as the freedoms they truly are. For in helping each other, we step past all of the leadership that holds us back. And we stand together as one, as a body of people, not to be controlled by other humans, but a body of people who are standing strong in their spiritual connection. So just imagine yourself walking through the world today, sharing your light and love with the world. And through your experience of sharing, that is enough inspiration for others to share their energy, their light and love with the world as well. And just imagine people walking through the world doing exactly that every day, sharing the light and love. And imagine the planet and what it would be like when we were all doing exactly that same thing. So imagine your subconscious mind continuing on into the world, sending out the light and love. And let's bring our conscious mind back doing the same thing. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's our show for today. Thank you very much for being here. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information and all kind of other good stuff. Tomorrow we're back into the book of Urantia, so look forward to that. Till then, have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.